I'm your host, Kinetic, and you're watching GameOnEnd. Hello, welcome to our add-on series. Today, we'll take a look at add-ons for your chat frame. We're using the add-on control panel to enable and disable as we go. Let's take a look at the first add-on. Alright, so to start with, we're going to look at ones that actually just modify the chat frame. So we'll start with basic chat mods. Alright, so as you can see here, it started out with getting rid of a lot of the buttons. So let's take a look here. Okay, so this one hasn't changed the default settings. Let's take a look in the menu. Okay, so we have a lot of things here. First off, we have Alt Invite. Okay, so this gives us the ability to click on a person's name in chat with an Alt click, and that will just send them a party invite. Combat logging. Alright, we have some BattleNet features here to do class colors, replace real names with character names, remove the icons. Okay. We have the hiding of all of the buttons. We can modify channel names to shorten them. And then you have a list of all of the things here and what they shorten to. Okay, this gives us an option here to shift click the chat frame and be able to select text out of the chat frame to copy and paste. We have the typing, the edit box. We can move it to the top. We can change the size, hide the background of it. We have fading, whether the window stays visible all the time or not. We can change the font, the size, and then shading of the font. This is a nice little feature, the guild message of the day. When you have a few add-ons installed or whatever, a lot of times the first time you log in, the guild message of the day goes by too quickly and you'd have to scroll up to the top of your chat window to see it. So what this does is saves that message and then waits 10 seconds and then reprints it. That usually is enough time for all of the initial login spam of joining channels and, you know, add-ons loading and whatever. Right. You can enable this option for if somebody mentions your name in the chat to have a small noise play. And if there's something that everybody calls you that's not your full character name, you can also type that in here. Or if there's another name that you're known by, like say if you're playing on alts, but everybody still refers to you as your main name, you can load that in there. You can have it set to remember chat history and which frame it's referencing here, but you can have it keep less of different frames. This is kind of interesting. You can change the justification. So the general chat, if you want it centered, say if you have it somewhere else on your window and you want it to look a little more symmetrical or whatever to your layout, or if you move it to the right of your window and you want it there. This will modify people's names in chat, can show you their level. This is nice in guild chat and stuff. When somebody says, hey, anybody want to run, a dungeon, you can see right there what level they are without having to click on them or look them up or whatever. It will also show their class colors and things like that. This allows you to do bigger or smaller than what the Windows frame will let you do. So if you really want a tiny window out of the way in the corner, or if you want a giant chat window, this is just a nice little quality of life feature. It gives you a little arrow down in the corner when you've scrolled up in chat that just immediately jumps you down to the bottom instead of having to scroll back down. Sticky chat. You can mark which ones stay sticky. So if you do a yell, it won't keep you in yell. It'll just bounce you back to whichever chat you were using previously, if it's guild chat or party. Those kind of things are cool. Okay. We have a quick little way to do a reply to whoever whispered you. So if you target someone, if you have another player targeted and then just type /TT, it'll automatically whisper them instead of having to right click and do, whisper. We have timestamps. And then we have URL copy. This is nice if somebody does a link to, say they're streaming on Twitch, and they put the link in there, you can just click right on the thing and copy that URL instead of having to save it and paste it. Which of course you also have the chat copy as well. So you have two nice ways of being able to copy and paste things out of chat. Let's take a look at the next add-on. So we have BD Chat. Now be aware when you install this that you do need to also get the BD Core. It is a separate module, but required for the chat to work. Okay. So we can see it's added in a solid color background. Change the font here. Let's take a look at settings here. Okay, it hasn't changed the default settings. We've used some of the BD add-ons before, so we know it's changing a few more of the system settings in addition to just what you're using here. Alright, so BD config, that's the right thing there. Alright, so we've got the menu here, and we can see you can have separate profiles, of course, if you want different things for different characters or different servers, whatever. You can change, so this is the font that it has changed everything to by default. You can also change these background textures of things. You can see it changed the artwork here. Okay, and we also have a couple of other system settings here that it gives you. such as changing the UI fonts, or if it just is changing fonts for its own add-ons. Interrupt announcing, helpful if you don't want a separate add-on for that. Double-click buyout. When you're in the auction house, you can just double-click on an item and it will purchase that item. Alternate power bar, and UI scaling, and blocking error text. So we also have here, we have the guild message of the day. This will actually pop the guild message of the day up in a small window when you log in. We can also have it reskin weak ores if we use those, and we can also replace the game menu with fancy menu. We also have some unlock buttons here that will let us move things around on the screen, and a quick reload UI button here. So we have the options for chat. We can skin the chat bubbles, so if you have chat bubbles on for party or whatever, you can see that. You can also change the opacity of the chat box. Just makes it a little more helpful to read but still see whatever's behind there. And then you can also have it hide the frames when you're in combat. So pretty simple, but if all you want is just some nice looking features, that will do it. The next add-on. We have ChatMod 2. Okay, so ChatMod 2 has moved our buttons from one side to the other. Let's see if those, yep. So this just sees that we've moved the chat to the right side. It's just adjusting the buttons. For people who like the chat on the right hand side and want the buttons to be to that side. Let's see. Okay. No changes to the default. Let's take a look at the menu. Okay, so we have a lot of options here. We can do class coloring. We can have it make a point if somebody types our name in chat. It will give a little bit of a highlight to it. We can do link clicking in chat. If somebody types a URL, we can just click it from there. We have timestamps. We have name coloring by class. We can move the edit box to the top. We can activate this if somebody types the word invite or INV in chat. It makes it clickable and that will invite them to a group. We can make chat channels sticky. We can hide these chat frame buttons. We can also hide the social buttons and the emotes. So these are individual options. We actually hit everything there. So the scroll arrows. So if you still want the emotes or still want social, we can make it so that the chat doesn't fade. We can have it show or hide errors. We can have it keep a list of names, a database, so it has class coloring information saved, and then arrow key scrolling for previous messages, so that'll let you search through the chat. If you've typed a few things, you can up and down, so if you need to retype the same things. We have chat sounds. These will allow sounds to occur if you get a whisper or a guild chat party instance sound. and then you can temporarily mute so you don't have to change. But you can choose some different sounds here for when you get a whisper. And then we can customize channel names. So if we want to do this can let you modify the channel names, such as, you know, general, shortening it to gen or whatever, those type of things. Okay, let's take a look at the next add-on. We have Chatter. Okay, so we can see it's changed the font and the background and the border. Let's see here. Okay, so we do have a quick thing here to the settings. We also have an option to copy text out of the chat. Okay, we have lots of settings here. Okay, so this kind of gives you like a Windows feature where you can actually resize just by dragging any edge. Pretty cool. We have alt linking, which this is for character alts. So if you have a person in your guild chat and you can right click on their name and then connect them to another character, so you could right click their name, type in what their main character's name is, or even use this to set notes, like, you know, you could put GM on the guildmaster, and then that way anytime he types in chat you would see, oh, this is the GM speaking or whatever. But you can mainly use this to connect people who play a lot of different characters. Then you know them as, you recognize their alts. And then you can do player name. You can also have guild notes tied to them, things like that. Okay. This will create separate windows when somebody whispers you, so you can keep their chat in a separate window. This allows the add-on to take control of the borders and the backgrounds. If you disable it, it'll probably take a little less memory, but will then just revert to looking like the default chat window. But you can basically create some custom things here, custom opacities, stuff like that. You can change border colors. And change the look of it and the size of it. And you can do this for multiple chat frames. You can redo the coloring. If you would like channels to be different than the default colors, you can redo those here. If you want guild chat to be red, you can do that. Channel names can be shortened. This will let you also do custom names for things if you want. Chat logging. Custom fonts for each tab or just overall for all of the tabs. And the font size. Right. Custom tabs, the height of the button, if you want those tabs to be hidden. Tabs to flash when something is a message is coming through in that channel. So if you have like a whisper in a separate tab, that tab will flash when somebody whispers you. The option here to copy text out of the chat. You can also have a little icon that will quickly let you pull that up instead of pulling up the menu. You can have the buttons hidden, and you also have this button to scroll to the bottom, to click to jump to the bottom when you click it. If you're scrolled up, you can disable fading. Here are things to move the edit box. You can change where it's attached to, change the color, size, font, and the option to move around here. This option to automatically choose whichever group you're in, if you're in a party or a raid or an instance or a battleground. If you just do /gr, it'll type in the appropriate one for whatever you're in. You can also do keyword highlighting, which if somebody says a thing like taunt or swap or whatever, that it would play a sound, it would highlight, it would move that message to scrolling combat text area. Custom channel sounds, you can also just do highlights only in a certain thing. So if you want to just use raid warning or only messages from the raid leader. Whispers, if another tank is whispering you when he wants you to taunt off, you can have that make a sound, give you a warning. You can do invite links, which you can also add in your own keyword, so you could put in like a secret word if you want somebody to be able to ask you to invite. Create that. You can also add in just alt-click on a name to invite. This will also give you, if you hover over a link of an item, it will just show you the item instead of having to click on it. Enable mouse wheel scrolling. Here are the player names. So this is things like highlighting when people say your name in chat, changing the color, real ID things, including level for players, a little bit of modifications to the real ID, how far you can scroll back through chat, this will override if you play on multiple computers, like say if you play on a laptop and a desktop, you'll know you may have to change your screen resolution for each of those game windows, and annoyingly every time you log into either one, it will put the chat where the other one had it. So if in your laptop you have to make the chat smaller or move it to a different place so that it's not on top of something or whatever, so you can disable this, and then that will, if you have this installed on both games, on your laptop and your desktop, then you can move these chat windows to their own places, and they will stay in those places. You can do sticky channels. You can add in the /TT to automatically whisper whoever you're targeting. Now these kind of things, we saw this in a previous add-on, but this is a nice thing if you use a lot of macros, especially as like a healer or something. You can actually have like a macro, say if you have like a priest with like a life grip or something, you could make a macro for life grip with the /TT you know, to send a message to that player, you know, saying something like, I've pulled you out of, you know, fire on the ground, or I've saved your life. You know, something that lets people know why you life gripped them. Those kind of things are always fun and a nice little thing that you can use with a feature like that. You can change the justification here as well, to center it or to make it right justification. You can have timestamps on or off. This allows making the frame larger or smaller than the default UI will let you do. And then this will give you the link to copy URLs out of chat. And then, of course, multiple profiles. Okay, let's take a look at the next add-on, Thanks Chat. Okay, so let's take a look at the menu here. Nothing changed to the default. Let's jump in here. Okay, we have Thanks Chat. We have, all right, so a little simpler. We have the channel names shortened. Same, no customization there, but just shortened. We have the realm names, which is nice if you are playing on a connected realm. It usually gives you the stars or shows you, you know, the dash and somebody else's realm. This, I believe, would just give you a star. We have the option to replace real ID names with just the character names, shorten real names. You can replace with battle tag or keep full name. Enabling arrow keys in the edit box, which lets you just, you know, move around and select portions of typing if you need to fix. This also gives you the option to resize at the edges. URL links. You can lock the tabs that are docked. Move the edit box to the top of the frame. You can hide the notices of like joining and leaving channels. If somebody is spamming the same thing multiple times, you can have that hidden. The pet battle log. You can hide the buttons. Hide the new type textures on the chat and have it look like the old one. You can disable the flashing when you get messages. You can show class colors, and you can make certain channels sticky, all channels sticky or none. You can have chat fading or off. Change the font size, mouse wheel scrolling, and the delay for when you hover over chat. So let's take a look at a couple of other things that are a little bit different. So the first one we'll take a look at here is Bad Boy. Now, this isn't so much a chat window replacement as it is filtering and some extra functionality. Now, these are all modular, so you can install the ones that you want. We will install them all so we can look at the settings here. Okay, so what we have here, and we'll pull this up again real quick just so I can show you the modules we have. So by default it comes with the cleaner module, and this one is just pretty simple We'll take a look at that first, but we also have the Gilded module, which clears guild recruitment out of the chat channels. So if people are spamming, hey, our guild is, mythic this and looking for this, if you don't care to see those messages, this module will filter that kind of stuff out of public channels. We have the Ignore module, which gives you a unlimited amount of ignore slots for players and stuff, which the default UI only gives you a limited number, and if you play on multiple servers, that'll fill up real quick. And then we also have Level, which just simply filters chat by level. So what it's doing is blocking out like simple things. So typically if you play on a realm where you get a lot of like gold selling character spam and things of that nature, they're almost always creating level 1 characters and to spam in chat. So you could by default basically disable seeing chat from any character lower than level 3, say, and that would filter out those types of things. You just won't see them in chat. You can also have it so that you can quickly have a button to click to report spam. You can disable some of the animations involved in spam being blocked. And you can also just have the button shown all the time. These kind of things also let you filter out additional, like if, let's say, brand new Demon Hunter or Death Knights, if for some reason, if that's an issue on your server of people creating these characters to spam because they know that this may be blocked, then could basically be a thing that you may want. This will also remove, which if you have leveled up a character anytime recently, you'll see you about once or twice every hour will get a whisper and a guild invite from a random character that you don't know, haven't interacted with. If you don't want to see those, you have two options here. You can either just block the guild invite, but you can still see their message of like, hey, we are a PvP guild looking for more characters, or we are an RP guild, and that's fine. If you're interested, you can message them back, say, sure, I'm interested, please send me an invite. Or you can have those whispers blocked as well, but you can do those individually here. And then you can also manually add individuals that you want to block. So if you have a annoying player on your realm, or somebody who's just constantly posting, those buying all cloth in bulk, please send COD or whatever. If that's the only thing the person ever contributes to chat, then you can add them into the list. And if you accidentally add somebody, of course, you can remove them here. And then the basic CC cleaner module lets you filter by word. So if you want to remove Chuck Norris, you can add Norris, and any chat message that contains these words just won't show up. It'll filter that stuff out. So if you have a certain type of meme or some kind of thing that people love to post in here, we can check and see if you can also link an item. Not sure if there is a way to add an item, which would be useful for the Thunder Fury type spams or something like that. There may be a way to do it. maybe something you would need a separate add-on to do, but pretty nice nonetheless. Just gives you a simple way to clean up your chat, and over time, as you find things that bother you, you can add them to this list. People that bother you, you can add them to this list, and that will then make your chat a much more usable thing. And lastly, we have this simple minimize chat. So if you're using one of these chat add-ons and it didn't have the option to minimize chat, this add-on is very simple. All it does is gives you the option to minimize your chat. Okay, so very simple. There are no add-on settings. It just adds in this extra button here, which lets you minimize or maximize your chat. You have to do some testing to make sure that it is compatible with whichever chat frame add-on you use. But if it works with yours, it is a nice, cool feature that you can simply, move that out of your screen if it's distracting for you. If you have a nice big chat window when you're just out questing or in the world or whatever. But when you get into a raid, or if you're PvPing especially, especially if you're doing random battlegrounds and stuff like that, there's not really much coordination. There's not usually much positive in there. Sometimes it's nice to just lower that and not see it, and then bring it back up when you get out and catch up on guild chat or those kind of things. That will do it for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, remember, pressing the like button is absolutely free. Subscribe and stay tuned for more Game on End.